Hello friends, I'm FIDE instructor Atul Dahale and welcome to my YouTube channel. Today I'm going to show you a game played between two friends as well as two rivals who are playing against each other since last 3 decades. They even played in the World Chess Championship matches also guys, and their names are Vishy Anand and Vladimir Kramnik. Yes, two of the greatest players of chess guys. Both are world champions and they are playing in a very unique tournament. This tournament is called as the no castling tournament, and this was the term no castling was coined by Vladimir Kramnik himself, where players are not allowed to castle because Kramnik thinks that the normal chess is losing its creativity. To make it more interesting, he said like, okay, I will not change any big rules, I'll just change one rule, that if you cannot castle, then you cannot really follow the opening theory which we have developed, and you have to be more creative on the board and you have to think and find out the things on the board. As the same way, Bobby Fischer, former world champion, like he created one format that is chess 960, or you can say that Fischer random chess. The same way Kramnik is trying to popularize this game, and they are playing this exhibition match against each other in Dortmund. So guys, what happened in this game, how they dealt with this no castling thing, because the kings were in the center of the board. If you want to castle, then you have to move your king. So many such things happen, and this game includes very interesting tactics also, because of course Kramnik is a very creative player and Vishy Anand is a great tactician. So without further delay, let's get started with the game. But before we go further, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to my channel if you are new here. I hope that you will definitely like this video. At least 100 likes should be there on this video. Okay, chalo then we'll start. The game starts with c4. Vishy Anand is white in this game. Kramnik is black. He plays c5. Okay, knight of 3 was played, and then e6. Well, here he plays e3. Symmetrical structure is going on until now. Then Kramnik plays d5. Vishy sir played d4, knight f6, then knight to c3, and now he plays a6. Of course, this is a kind of a waiting move, because sometimes what happens is like d into c4, bishop into c4, and b5 is one of the possibilities on the board. And also, if you are going to play bishop to d6, then in that case knight b5 should be stopped. This is also included in this move. So here he plays d into c5, bishop captures c5, and now a3. Well, Vishy sir is also going to play b4 here, and here knight c6 was played. Kramnik says like, okay, if you want to play b4, play b4, no issues. b4 was played, bishop goes to a7 square, and pay attention to this thing guys, okay? The bishop on a7 at some point in the game will be trapped. How? I'm going to reveal it. So stay tuned with me till the end and find out that thing, okay? So he plays bishop to b2, putting this bishop on a long diagonal, which might be useful. Guys, any normal game would have led to things like castling, but in this game the castling is not allowed, okay? So you have to play your castling artificially. But before you go further, here he plays h5. Okay, he is trying to get his rook in the game, because you cannot castle. Whenever the castling happens, the rook comes into the game very quickly, but now the rook is not having that chance. Here he plays queen to c2, okay, h4. He is just continuing like alpha 0, you can say. Now rook d1, bringing the rooks in the game. The fundamentals of the game will never change, and these two geniuses of chess knows their stuff, okay? They know that they need to develop their pieces, they need to improve their position slowly and gradually. Here he plays king f8. Of course, he is trying to play maybe in future something like g6 and king to g7, so that the artificial castling will be done. And now what will you play? Well, Anand says like, I'm not going to castle, I'm going to keep my king in the center of the board, and I'm going to activate my rook on g file. So here he plays rook to g1. Now the idea is of course to play g3 or some other move. I'll check it out. Now knight e7 is played, and now can you believe Anand's move? Well, here Vishy played g4 move. What a move, right? He is saying like, okay, if you don't capture my pawn, I'm going to play g5, dislodge this knight, and maybe the g6 move will also come on the board, and there will be some kind of attacking possibilities from the white side, because rook will be the one who will be opened up. So here Kramnik plays h into g3, the pawn on h2 should not be left just like that. So he plays bishop to d7, and now he continues with g4 move. The pawn is proceeding forward. What to do? He plays queen c7, very cautious, because he needs to get his pieces in the game. So here Vishy plays g5, knight is being attacked, knight goes back to e8 square, now queen to d3. Well, he is pressurizing the d5 pawn. That's quite obvious. Bishop c6, the pawn on d5 is supported. He captures the pawn c into d5. He captures d5 and now knight e2. This is a very standard idea, guys. Why is he playing knight e2? Because by playing knight e2, he is consolidating the d4 square for his knights. Okay, because the isolated pawn is there. Always remember, the square in front of the isolated pawn is a weak square, and if your knight can occupy that square, then that knight cannot be dislodged by any other pawn. So let's understand this thing. If the knight arrives here, it will become like the octopus knight very easily. It will be covering 8 squares very easily, guys. So it's a very good square for your knight, and there is no one who can push the knight away, means there is no pawn. And one more thing is there, after knight e2, the bishop's diagonal is also opened up, so he is putting some pressure on this a1 to h diagonal. So let's see what happens. Bishop b5, going for the queen. Okay, queen goes back to b1 square. Knight g6, the pieces needs to be developed on right squares. He comes back on knight c3, attacking the bishop on b1, b5. Then bishop into f1 was played. King into f1 was one of the moves, but he plays rook into f1. Well, why is he playing this move? Well, he plays this move because if you play king into f1, then unnecessary checks might happen, queen c4 and all. He doesn't want to give up on those things. So he plays rook to f1, and now he plays rook to d8. Now rook into d5, a good move, because okay, the pawn on d5 was hanging, so he captures that pawn. Rook into d5. One more thing I would like to point out, that if you play king into f1, then after rook d8, this is not a possibility from white side, because after this check, the knight on d5 will be falling. So this is the difference. That's why he captures rook into f1. Now rook d8 check, rook d8, rook into d5, rook into d5, knight into d5, queen d7, attacking the knight. Knight goes to c3 square. He comes with rook h3. Now Kramnik is trying to get some counterplay in the position. He's attacking the knight on f3. He's trying to do something in this position. So what to do? Well, the queen on b1 was sleeping until this point. Now he comes into the game with queen e4. Well, this is a very interesting strategy, that whenever it's possible, centralize your pieces. Okay, that's why he plays queen to e4. Now knight d6, attacking the queen. He goes to d5 square, still maintaining the queen in the center. Okay, now king g8, and after king g8, knight comes on e4. The knight on d6 is pinned. It cannot really move, so the possibility of knight into e4 is not there, because the queen on d7 will be hanging in that case. So he captures rook into f3. The knight on f3 was hanging, obviously, but we will be getting the knight on d6. So he goes knight into d6. Now the pawn on f7 is being a little bit targeted. b7 pawn is also targeted here in this situation. He plays queen h3, going for the attack straight away. Knight comes back on c4. Well, what's going to happen here? He plays queen g2. Now black is threatening so many things. Maybe knight f4 is going to come. If he captured, then the pawn on f2 will be captured. So it feels that, okay, black is dominating in this position, but Anand in this position finds out a brilliant idea. He plays queen d8 check, king comes on h7 square, and now suddenly queen a8. Well, the bishop is not having any squares now. This is a very surprising thing. As I mentioned this earlier also, the bishop on a7 will be trapped, and here the bishop is not having this square, not even this square. Okay, you can capture on e3, but the knight into e3 will be played. So here Kramnik says like, okay, I don't have any space to move around. I am going to play knight f4, all in. No issues. Here Vishy just captures the bishop on a7, supporting the pawn on e3, and there is a very beautiful tactic which is going to happen on the board. Knight d3 check came. Make sure that the bishop on b2 is supported here in this situation. He plays king to e2, knight into f2, and it feels like, okay, black's king is going to get checkmated or something, because there are so many threats in this position. But now, as the situation gets very tough, Vishy finds out a brilliant move in this situation. Okay, you can pause the video and try to find out the move. He comes up with this rook to g1 move. What a move. He wants to deflect the queen. That's all he needs, because if he capture on rook f2, of course this will be leading to check here, and check. King will go to c3 square, and now, well, queen e1 check, king d3, and we can play rook f2, queen e2, and all those such things are there. So I think black will be getting so many chances in this situation. So rook f2 was not played. He plays rook to g1. Wow, what a move, right? Queen into g1. Now he plays queen to d4. The queens comes back in the game. Now queen into g7 is a threat where it is going to be a checkmate, guys. And now, okay, he plays queen into g5, king into f3 played, and white is piece up. Well, he converts the game very nicely here. Knight d6 comes, and then he plays knight g1 check, king f2, knight h3 check, king e1. The rest is, as they say, the matter of technique. And then Vishy sir wins the game with great style. Okay, check, check, and check. Okay, here again a check, king h8. He plays few moves to give check, and then he gives this check, and finally he captures the pawn on d7, queen e3 check. And okay, then knight c5, knight f2 check, king c2. King is escaping, no problem, we are having one extra piece, and he captures that thing also, and bishop into f6. The final trick, you can say, because let's suppose you capture this thing, which was also a possibility in this situation, but in that case this queen will come to h5 square check wherever you go, and then we have this queen g6 check. Wherever you move, we will play queen into f6 check, king moves here, and then queen into f2. White will be having one extra piece and a pawn, and that should be a winning position. So he did not capture on that f6 piece. He plays queen e1, bishop comes back, and now after few checks the queens get exchanged. And okay, this is a very interesting situation which you need to remember. The knight is not having any squares to move around. This thing we need to always remember, that whenever two squares are there between the knight and the bishop, if one of the piece is in the corner, then the other piece will be dominating that piece. As the way you can see, the bishop on d4 is dominating the knight on d1. Thing to remember. Okay, king f5, knight c5, g5, a4, and this pawn race is clearly winning for white. Check, and the pawn queens on the next move. Means we are going to capture wherever you move here, no issues. We are going to give the check, or if you move here then also, and if you move away from the knight, then of course bishop into e3 is there, the pawn will not be queening, and Vishy sir is going to win. I hope that you enjoyed this video, this game played by Vishy Anand. The move rook g1 was the classical move here, and I hope that that move will stay with you for a long time. So guys, don't forget to like this video, because it was a very exciting game, and we will be meeting with some new interesting videos in coming days. So stay tuned with me, and take care. Goodbye. Love you all.